I'm Mark Haley, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. And this is Mr. Saltwater Tank RUF, raw, uncut, first impressions, taking a second look at the Reef Delete. Now, if you missed the first episode, this is an Aiptasia mahano nuisance algae, nuisance coral killer that works via ultraviolet light. Now, make sure you watch the first video so you understand what I'm going to talk to you about in the second video. Because the question that everyone's asking is, does this thing work? The answer is yes, and here's the thing that I'm going to reiterate from the first video, especially after using this thing for a week. It does work. It's not a one and done type of solution. If you're thinking you can grab one of these, point it at the Aiptasia mahano, whatever you're trying to kill for 10 seconds, and then walk away and you're done, no. I found you need to point this thing right at whatever it is you're trying to eradicate, Aiptasia, mahano, coral, whatever, for at least 60 seconds. If you can do it for 2 minutes, that's even better. You're going to need to do it a couple of times. We did it for 3 days, twice a day for 3 days, and then I stopped. Now, here's what happened. Here's day one. We're melting down this Aiptasia. It's not happy. It's receding. This part of using the Reef Delete is very satisfying. You're like, look at that thing die. Now, they do come back day 2, and it even came back day 3. However, it did come back weaker. It's smaller. It's certainly not as strong. After day 3, it didn't get any bigger. It wasn't completely gone, so you may need to go into day 4 or day 5. Now, I said you need to hold the trigger button down for at least 60 seconds. Look, 90 seconds is what I'm going to say is the minimum. If you can do 2 minutes, do that. The catch with this is this button is pretty hard to press. So keeping this thing down for 90 seconds, even 60 seconds, you're probably going to have to take a break with your finger and then mash on that button right again. So keep that in mind as you're using this thing. Now, some people said, wait, 400 bucks and it doesn't come with a charger? Yeah, your $1,200 iPhone doesn't come with a charger either. One of the comments in the first video was, well, what if you stray across a neighboring coral? Can you fry that? Look, you could, and here's the catch with that. To really have this thing be effective, you need to be close to whatever it is you're zapping. If you're 6, 8 inches away out here and you're trying to zap it, you're not going to get much of this ultraviolet radiation right on what you're trying to kill. So if you have an Aiptasia that's in the middle of a coral colony, you're going to want to get as close as possible. You may fry some of the tissue that's around the Aiptasia, but it's unlikely that you're going to fry the whole coral colony unless you're trying to kill the thing. Because even if you passed over for a couple seconds and then came back to the Aiptasia, it might annoy that coral. The polyps in that little section might recede for a moment, but I would expect that they would come back, especially because I've found you got to use this thing multiple times a day for a couple days to have it really be effective. So that being said, what's my take on this? Is this worth the $400 that it currently costs? Here's my thoughts. First, if you're a reef club or a local fish store who rents out gear, this makes a lot of sense. Add it to your membership benefits. If you have a local fish store, you can have an equipment rental program. It makes sense for this. Now, what if you're an individual user and you have Aiptasia or mahanos or whatever that you're trying to kill with this? If you hate Aiptasia, mahanos, bowl algae, whatever it is you're trying to nail with this thing, more than your opposing political party, and one of my clients is like that, you know who you are, okay, this makes sense. If you have a big outbreak of Aiptasia anemones, mahano anemones, whatever in your tank, using this thing to knock them out individually, it's going to take a while. Some of you may have your time on your hands to that. For some of you, that may be worth it. But I would hesitate about buying this thinking I'm going to eradicate everything in my 55 and up, even 30-gallon tank if you have a big outbreak. It takes a lot of time. You got to point it at each one for at least 90 seconds, a couple times a day for multiple days to really make it last. So I see this used as more of a spot treat type of thing. So therefore, spend 400 bucks to spot treat. Look, that's where you got to decide. If you really hate Aiptasia, mahanos, or whatever, it may be worth it to you. Maybe you've tried natural solutions such as peppermint shrimp or burger nudibranchs, if you can even find them. Or maybe you even tried kelp paste, but it just doesn't work for you. You're looking for something else. In that case, the Reef Delete does make sense. Overall, I found that this thing does work. Keep in mind, you got to keep it close to what you're trying to zap. You've got to hold it down for at least, the trigger down for at least 90 seconds, if not 2 minutes. You got to do this, I would recommend twice a day for at least 3 days. So don't buy it thinking it's a one and done. It does work, but you got to put the effort behind it. And look, I've got to give the guys props for coming up with something new. I haven't seen something like this. I know there's 1-watt lasers on eBay, but they're not specifically meant for the aquarium industry. It has some nice safety features that I talked about in episode 1. So I'll give it a B for effort. Certainly I would like it to work faster, but look, then we have to have more ultraviolet radiation. Then there's potential more risk, blah, 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 blah. So found that it works. Keep those things in mind. I talk about how long you got to hold it down. And again, if you have a reef club or a local fish store and you're looking to have this as a rental program, this thing makes a lot of sense. Till next time, I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. This has been Mr. Saltwater Tank Raw Uncut First Impressions. I'll catch you in the next episode.